Okay, so first and foremost, thank you so much for joining me for the AI Anxiety Reset webinar. This is the first one of these types of webinars that I've run. And as we mentioned, it's about getting past the hype and finding out how to take that, I guess, most reliable step forward in AI. So most people are leaning in now. If you go to a barbecue or if you go to a networking event or if you just, God forbid, show up on social media, everything's about AI. And the problem is that everyone's selling you what they're doing right now, how amazing it is, that discovery of fire moment. And that's why they're so excited about it, because once you get into this, you will go home for weeks on end and just tell your spouse and probably tell your kids too, oh my God, I can't believe how much stuff I got done today or this week or whatever it is, right? That's how exciting it is. And that's why people are talking about it. Look, vegans, atheists, carnivores, CrossFitters, they're all the same. Like telling you just how great whatever it is that they are doing is. So this is no different. So if you're sitting on the sidelines, which ones do you pick? That's what we've just discussed at our pre-chat. And what if you bet on the wrong horse? You know, obviously we've discussed around building the right foundation is super important for any business. And if you actually take the wrong step into the wrong AI platform, are you going to, I guess, build that unstable platform that you cannot leverage from? Potentially. But I'm going to give you an option today, which I think is the right way. Everyone's raving about it. We've already discussed that. So in 45 minutes, one clear recommendation to start. A live walkthrough of how it works, how it looks. First step you can take today. So LLMs, the reason why this question got in here is because this is a conversation. This is where the conversation begins with people. Okay. Oh, okay. So you've used ChatGPT, right? No. What? Well, you know it's called an LLM, right? What's that? Look, LLM, large language model, all right? And there's lots of popular ones, but these are probably the most popular. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Grok, and DeepSeek. DeepSeek's the Chinese one that's doing pretty well at keeping up and cheaper than the rest. So all of them are LLMs, all of them useful. You only need one to start, but that doesn't mean that you won't use the others in the future. And that's why if you set up the right foundations, you can still leverage the others in future. So a bit of history, ChatGPT, November 2022 was when it launched. Chat hype went through the roof, hang on a minute, it's hallucinating, we're creating AI slop. Deloitte did it professionally, biggest story in the world where they actually produced reports that totally hallucinated and they were getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that work. And everything in it was totally made up by AI. I have actually done the same thing. Admittedly, I say that I've only been using AI for months, and that's because of what I know about AI now, in that I feel like I've only been using it properly for months. Whereas just like all of you, if you've been using it since 2022 on ChatGPT, you've gone through that experience of what is this crap that it's pumping out? You know, I am so frustrated with this. And therefore, you know, most people have said, nah, it's all hype, discard. Then in December 2025, shit got real, right? Claude really upped the game, and it was Opus 4.5 that came out, which is just a name that they give to releases, which is also confusing, right? Because you're going, well, what version's ChatGPT on? And that's what the version of people are talking about. And a lot of people in AI will talk about the version that they're using. They'll be like, oh my God, Sonnet 4.7 is amazing, or 4.6, whatever it is, right? And you're like, what, Sonnet? And so stop. Can you stop using jargon? Can you stop using names that I don't understand? Please. And Claude Code 2026 right now is running a version which is better than the last, and oftentimes they are. But in amongst there, November 2025 and January, there was another launch of a similarly named agentic AI system that everyone jumped on the hype bandwagon for. And it confused the market even more. And I'm not even going to say its name, right? So in amongst this time frame from December 2025 to now, there's just been so much go on that and in Claude Code's case, or Claude's case, it's become more reliable. And that's why everyone's hyping about it. Most of these people that are online or at the barbecue or whatever have been using it for months, years, whatever. And so they're telling you about the amazing things that they're doing 3 years down the track of using it, and you're still at day zero. It's no wonder you can't bridge that gap, right? It's like, stop, hang on. Can you take it back a bit? Can you take it back a bit? And that's what we're here to do today. Let's like bridge that middle gap, please. There's no such thing as a perfect decision. And if you've been running a business for a while, you're starting to figure this out, right? The perfect decision never made costs you more than the least shit decision made today, right? That is the absolute truth. So here's the least shit place to start. It's been the least shit for the longest, and that's Claude. And so ChatGPT, as mentioned, was where it all began, but Claude has actually been the more reliable one for the longest period of time. Here's the most important thing. The way that we get started here today will set you on a path to mean that you are not married to Claude forever, okay? It's not monogamy. Bit more promiscuity, but probably the best kind, right? It's a bot, right? It's not going to get offended if you cheat on it, okay? So Claude Opus 4.7, rewrite any document you give it. Yeah, so a Google Doc, if you've got your system linked, can get access to that, a Google Sheet, an Excel spreadsheet, a Word document, a PDF, text files, of course. It can also read screenshots. So I dump so many things like that into Claude on the daily because most of the time I can't be bothered explaining whatever it is that came up on the screen. Plan to run multi-step tasks. We'll get into that maybe a bit later. See image screenshots, connect to your email. Absolutely, we said that, and run on your machine through CoWork. So let's see if we can break this down. Alrighty, so I'm going to exit out of good. Let's go. So Claude.ai. Hopefully you've seen this screen, right? And that is just the chat that you're used to seeing, same with ChatGPT. Yeah, inputs, outputs, and you can see here that I can change the model. So it's currently on Opus 4.7, which is their latest model. hot tip is that if you are chewing up all of your usage, you can start on, I guess, less intense tasks, going backwards through the previous models, okay? And that way you will chew up less usage, okay? Now, what am I supposed to be doing here? Let me figure that out. All right, so, okay, let's go through the projects, artifacts, and quick prompt. Right, so on the left-hand side, which might already be open for you, new chat, of course. You can search previous chats, and projects is a really great place to be, I guess, speaking about. Now, I have all my clients in here or prospects, and underneath those, so I'll go into proactive, then I'll have like a heap of chats associated with that project, and I might even have files here. Now, I don't use this chat a hell of a lot to give it a lot of files, so I don't store my files here, but I can, and that's really, really valuable. Really importantly is the memory, right? And that is when you go in here, you can actually see what it knows about you and what might need editing. And then instructions like things like always write back to me or converse in Australian English and things like that. So that's, and the instruction for this project might be different to another one, and so on and so forth. So that's how you, and then you've got artifacts, which are often the sets that you've created through chat. So you can see them all of them here, and you can attach them to different chats that you're doing. You got Claude Code. It wants to open that in a different window. That is normally used to create automations or which they call routines inside the Claude AI environment. So it's not on your machine, obviously, but that doesn't mean that you can't chat with your Claude that might be running, Claude code that might be running on your own machine, or pick up from a previous conversation. That's a little bit in depth, so I'm going to skim over that one for now. Then you've got design. Now, I'm not going to click that button because it could kill my presentation. This presentation was done in Claude Design. So it's not bad so far. I think hopefully you agree with that. It looks pretty cool. Created probably from beginning to end, 2 hours tops. Now, a long, long time ago, I used to be employed as a graphic designer who actually did PowerPoint presentations for presenters in London. That was my sole job. And I would spend days and hours fixing presentations and just lining up things and getting consistency. And the fact that I could go from total brain dump into what I really wanted this presentation to do and be, and the story that I wanted to craft around that, to structuring that in Claude AI, to then bringing that structure into Claude Design and it designing for me with the assistance of a brand guidelines document, mind you. So that was a drag and drop. Hey, follow these brand guidelines, or hey, you didn't have the logo, put the logo in, here it is. 2 hours. Mind blown. And that's presentations. I've been doing the same thing with websites and landing pages. So there you have the Claude AI environment hosted by Anthropic. Anthropic are the company that own Claude or built Claude. And that means that they host all of your data and information and you don't have any of that sort of sitting on your machine. So when you think about that, it's a great place to start chats. It's a great place to, I guess, have some assets, especially if you're going to have the same conversation all the time. Here's my brand guidelines all of the time. That's not bad. Or here's my backstory. Here's my persona. Here's about me. Here's my rules, how I want you to speak to me. Don't ever be sycophantish. Don't ever tell me that's a great idea. Things like that. But it's still all hosted by Anthropic. Let me go back to this. Let's see if I can do this again. Cool. So prompting is really important in Claude AI, getting that right. Now, so many people have dismissed how great AI is or how bad AI is because of their crappy prompts. So hopefully this continues to be crap, otherwise it won't prove my presentation to be real. Let me think of a crap prompt. Create a marketing strategy for my business. Super crap, right? Doesn't get any more crap than that. But I'm going to hit enter. Right, we're going to wait for AI now. Hilarious. Who's working for who here? I guess that's the funniest thing, isn't it? Is that once you start doing this, you wonder if AI's working for you or if you're working for it. So it's not bad now. It actually knows, it's got a bit of history and a bit of memory because it will ask me questions. So it has actually gotten a lot better. If you did the same thing elsewhere, you probably wouldn't even get a question like this. And so at least that's better than what I probably expected. But a good prompt, a quality prompt, is called a contextual prompt, and or otherwise known as context prompting. So when someone says, look, are you doing context prompting? Absolutely. I hope the answer is yes, and you should be able to answer them yes, by all means. A good prompt, a good contextual prompt has inputs. So my client's name is, you can see that was the first question that Claude asked me. Who are we talking about here? Right? What's their name? Maybe their website. Chuck that in. We worked with them for 18 months. Last quarterly review was 3 weeks ago. We owe them 3 things: a content calendar, a Google Ads audit, and a competitor analysis. The calendar is ready. The audit will be a week late. The competitor brief is unclear. Honestly, give them a backstory as if you were talking to one of your team members, right? Not just that have never done this before, never produced this output never produced this output for you before. Yeah, maybe they've just been started day one, right? You need to talk to your AI like that. Hey, instead of create me a marketing strategy, great, see ya, right? We need to create a marketing strategy, a draft marketing strategy. It needs to be produced as a slide deck for presentation, but it'll also be a living document that will be shareable between the whole organization. So it'll be hosted on Google Slides or Office 365 in PowerPoint. And we want to be able to refer back to it, make changes, all the rest of it. We don't want this to be hard locked to Adobe InDesign, so that every little change has to go back through a graphic designer, etc. right? We're better than that. Here's the backstory, yada, yada, yada. That's the input. Rules. Look, we've got a methodology that we want to use. It's called Proactive. It's produced by Chris Hogan. He's an absolute fucking legend. And 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 we want to use that model because it's really easy to understand. Here it is. Here's the model. Otherwise, you know what? We want the presentation to be a pitch style presentation, no more than 10 slides. Follows the best methodology. Guy Kawasaki's pitch methodology is the best in the world. Can you find out more about that, or at least suggest that that's the model we want to use? If AI doesn't know what it is, they'll ask us. And make sure we draft some emails along the lines of, hey, thanks so much for the meeting. Here's some of the bullet points. Here's our actions. And based on the transcription that we've got here, and we want to send that off today as well. Good? Any questions? Great. That's a great prompt. Just like as if you had zero time, you were running into another meeting as a leader, and you needed to get all of this across so that there was little to no questions and you could actually rely on that person to do that job. And the person in the position actually went, yeah, cool, I've got everything I need. Thank you. No questions. That's going to get the best output in the quickest amount of time. And that's what you want. Now, if I actually wanted to figure out maybe what that structure looked like for something else, or I didn't remember this at all, here is a little hack. Prompt Cowboy, right? So this one, there you go, turns lazy prompts into great ones. You can come down here and you can go, distill meeting notes. What does that look like? This is what the prompt looks like. Try prompt, cool. Copy the prompt, paste that into Claude, fix up the bits that are missing, or paste it into a text file and fix up the bits that are missing, and then hit enter. That's perfect way to do a great prompt. So there you go. You don't have to think too much. Just go there and you're context prompting like an absolute prompt cowboy. There you go. Right. I was talking about adding assets and connectors and, you know, to things like your Google Sheets and your PowerPoint presentations in Office 365. And so in Claude, if I just close that, I can't see it. Fantastic. Let me move this screen around. Oops. Wrong one. Okay. Down the bottom here is this little download. Get apps and extensions. Here is, I guess, the cheat sheet to getting more out of Claude, because now I can install Excel, PowerPoint, Word, and so many more. Once you come in here, you'll start, Slack, connect to Slack, download the Mac desktop app. On my Mac, it'll say PC. It should say PC for you. Sorry, Windows there for you if that's your flavor. Get it on mobile. What's really great when you've got this ecosystem is that you can run it through your mobile, run it through the desktop, and then even when you take another step forward with advancing your use of AI, this ecosystem is actually probably the best out of all of them so far. So again, great foundation. The Chrome extension also blows my mind. So one of the things that happens when you download Claude onto your desktop and you start using what's called Cowork. Now I've already downloaded and installed it, so let's just open her up. So here in Cowork, I can ask it to schedule. I want to schedule, no, where was the schedule thing? There it is, scheduled. A new task. So I don't have one running on this machine. I've got multiple machines running in Claude. But on one of my other ones, I've got a scheduled task to go through my emails every day and give me a morning report on specific things. So you can be really hyper specific. And yes, keep it awake. The computer has to be on, right? So for this to work on this desktop, your computer has to be on. The other thing, when you've got something you want it to do in this new task and you have the browser extension installed, you can actually ask Claude to go through a website and gather information for you. And one of those experiences for me recently was running a Seek ad. I ran a Seek ad for concreters, and I had like 90-something concreters like turn up and Seek, and then I was telling them to go and apply in my own AI developed custom platform. And then I needed to do an audit. Now the problem was Seek wouldn't actually let me export all of the applicants. I couldn't click a button export. I'm like, are you kidding me? I had to click through every single applicant to see their details. So I asked Cowork, can you go and get all those details for me? And with the browser extension plugged in and Seek already logged into, it just went through and it clicked through the website and it extracted all of that information for me. And then I said, great, can you put that into an Excel spreadsheet? Thanks very much. Walked away, went and had lunch, come back, it's done. Like, I love it. You know, make money in your sleep, make money while you're having lunch, get shit done while you're having lunch. This is what AI can do for you. And some of it requires that constant instruction, but when you get more and more into it, you will set up routines and set up automations so that you don't have to put in as much inputs anymore. Is there any questions so far? I'm happy to stop here because I know that I've gotten probably into a bit of murky water.
No, I think that's great so far.
Cool. Sarah, anything? Sorry, you were on mute.
No questions so far. Thanks, Chris.
Cool. Jane's probably taking a phone call. That's okay too.
I think she texted me that she had to drop off.
Yes, but I'm sure she'll want the recording. Yep. So there were some ideas there. Summarize my emails from this week, flag anything that needs a reply today. That's all stuff that you can do in Cowork. That's all stuff you can do through the Claude AI app when you've got those connectors actually in there. So you don't have to take it even further than this if you want to improve your productivity. Let's keep going. We did that. There you go. So create a routine each morning, summarize overnight emails, draft replies, anything urgent, add follow-ups to my calendar. Put them into folders, make them urgent, you know, send them to another email, text me. if there's something like broken, all that's possible. All through Claude and its connectors. So you don't even have to program this stuff. Yes, there is a bit of setup for the actual texting side of things using Twilio. I'll be honest. But if you've got the patience to go through that process and be your own IT guy, guess who's going to be the help desk for you? Claude. Recurring research summary, weekly client report. Absolutely. Like in my business, knowing, I guess, who's coming up behind you and who's gonna disrupt you, or who's the new kid on the block that's just overtaken your Google search results for a certain keyword. Knowing this sort of stuff is really, really valuable, because then when someone goes to you at a networking event, hey, do you know this person? And you can go, yeah, just saw what they're up to. It's different to us, all good. If they're encroaching on your territory, hey, at least you know, right? What are they doing? How do you need to craft your message differently? And here's the important point. When you run co-work on your machine, your files stay local. You stay in control. So when you're running them on Claude AI in the browser, Anthropic's hosting your assets. And if you can't get access to Claude, which has happened to me, it's gone offline and I need that file now, then, you've got no leg to stand on, right? It's the rent versus owning system. Claude AI chat connectors, co-work on the desktop is still somewhat of a rental. Okay, it's still, look, we're still talking to Claude through its platform, and for all of these examples and even my workshop, yes, we're using Claude. But where is that information being stored? We want to own it. We want to be able to manually change it. And if we're using co-work to be our main interface, even on our desktop, we're not really giving ourselves the opportunity to change to another model if another model comes to light that's so much better and Claude starts acting out and hallucinating. So owning the system means that you can download Claude onto your machine, Claude code onto your machine. You can create your own AI employee and have folders and files which have all of these rules documents and instructions that we spoke about earlier. And that means that your memory is actually staying on your machine. Or it could even be hosted on a web server. Or it could run on for example, everyone went out and bought Mac Minis to start running their dedicated AI servers. And maybe that's where all your files are stored, so that it can stay always on, always accessible to you, cloud or computer, always on, and you can have it working 24/7. And that is, like I said, it survives the change in product. We can say, you know what, hey Claude, you've gone off the rails, mate. You've been drinking. ChatGPT just came out with an amazing model. Everyone's raving about it. I'm going to jump over to there. Here's all the files that ChatGPT needs, can get access to them. Great, up and running in no time. So if you haven't already subscribed to Claude, then that is pretty much your next step. You'll get more out of it. And Pro and Max are the two different ways that you can sign up. One more expensive than the other, of course. And once you've done that, you will get greater usage and it will time out less often. And that means that when it comes time to leverage like that design component, which choose juice, absolutely choose your usage. You won't run out before 11 a.m. in the morning. Now, to be honest, if you are absolutely whacking it with PDFs and having really long conversations in Claude AI, then that is going to chew up more usage, because the longer your chat is, the more it is keeping the conversation in memory, right? Now, one of the best ways and to use Claude AI chat is to be prepared. And I really want to emphasize this, is that if you've got documents like brand guidelines documents, if you've got a persona profile of yourself, or an amazing document that you've written about your company before, like a tender document or whatever it is, and you've got those documents there that you're really, really happy with, you're really, really happy with the way that they speak, the language, etc., you want to keep those handy all of the time. Because when you dive in here, you're going to say, hey, all of those great inputs that we spoke about earlier, here's the client that I want to talk to, here's what we need to do, here's the goal, yeah, and here's the rules, here's the brand guidelines, here's how we speak, here's the deadline, let's go, draft me an email, whatever. You just drag those things in every single time, and they will save you so much time and so much usage, i.e., so much context is saved in that Claude doesn't have to remember like this whole chat. And that means that you'll get to the point where you produce an output quicker. Here, for example, there you go, the anxiety reset slide brief, right? That's for this presentation. So it actually produced, once I did all my dump, it produced this outline document for me. I downloaded it straight away, or I saved it to my Google Drive if it was a document, because I know that this can time out. Chrome can get tired, Claude can get tired, and it might go, hey, you need to start a new chat. It's like, oh my God. And when you go and start that new chat, when another one's actually crashed out and hasn't had time to save anything to memory, you're starting from the beginning. And sometimes like the first output that you get is actually the best one. And then you go back and you're like, oh, why won't it work this time? It was doing so well. But if you've got these downloads, then essentially you've just saved yourself so much heartache. And as well as having your brand guidelines and etc. as external documents, you'll just be like ready to rock. No problem. See ya. Good. Here's what we were doing. Here's those documents. Any questions? You know, and that's where you'll kick off again. As mentioned, that's how I would use Claude AI, and then use Claude Design for lots of things. Like I said, like I've been using it for not a lot, but some graphics for Instagram and LinkedIn, especially when there's lots of different sizes that I have to adapt my designs for. And sometimes it wouldn't do it. Like, I'll be honest, I don't know if I've got any examples. No, I probably don't. But, you know, it just would not do it. And I had to download it and use Photoshop to finish it. But to be honest, it was probably 15 minutes work versus like actual graphic design versus a half a day. And then, like I said in here, this is a presentation I can present straight from here. Fantastic. Or I can download in here, share. I can download, export as a PDF, export as a presentation, send it to Canva. No, I won't. I don't use that. Export as standalone HTML, Unreal. Download the whole project as a zip file. That's a way that if you designed a landing page on your website, you would download it as a zip file and you would start to work out how to get it up and live on a hosting server. I'm not here to confuse, so I won't get too deep into that. That's me flapping my gums nonstop for 45 minutes almost. How about we open the floor for questions?
How does the token process go, like resetting and when you reset and review all your information? Like how does that work? Obviously, you get a lot more in Max, is it?
Yes.
And then Pro, you get a set amount, but no one's ever been able to tell me how many or how much is used, or
Oh yeah, look, you can see your usage limits or settings issues.
Using Claude to tell you.
Say what?
Using Claude to tell you.
Oh mate, every day. Like they're my IT help desk, right? I could probably see what it is for the month. There we go. What's happened? 86% used. Resets June 1. Right. I've absolutely been smashing it, and I have bought more and more, and I haven't been running out daily, but obviously I'm going to run out this month. And so that might mean, because I'm using Claude Code, I've instructed it to use Claude. Like when I realized this was becoming a problem, I've instructed it to use Sonnet 4.6 or whatever it is. And so that would actually cost me less in usage for the rest of the month. Still quite a good model. And it's attached to Claude. I don't have to think about, okay, connecting another model. But that doesn't mean to say that I can't. And as long as I've got enough usage left over, I can ask Claude how to connect another model. And then be able to switch between them really, really simply. That's in Claude Code and when you're talking to your AI employee.
Yep, cool.
So that, I mean, you already signed up for the next Friday's event, Jono. So,
yep.
I guess there's no qualms about, right, I have to come because you already signed up, and we're definitely going to cover that next week around getting that AI employee set up on your machine.